Hello.
Yes, hello, teacher.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, hello, teacher.
Okay, what happens? Yeah, I don't think we have midterms. Did I think about today's session last week? I mean, did I plan to do something for this week for the international trades?
We actually had no class last week, teacher.
Okay, okay. So we continue things with our modules. I think we already finished with the standard module, correct? Hello. Hello.
Yes, teacher, we finished the standard
Okay.
model.
I don't know whether you got. So we move to another module, which is the haptures and only modules.
Hello, teacher.
Sorry.
Could you hear me? I think last time you haven't finished the chapter yet. You only finished half.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't matter then. So we can move, or we can continue with the standard module first, and then we can move to the just an only module, okay? I think this one I also asked you. Ah, yes, I remember. I asked you to do the homework in terms of different color, right? Okay. So this is the indifferent curve concept that we learned about the marginal rate of substitutions, and we learned that the indifferent curve is measured the utility in terms of consuming one particular commodities. And we also learned that there is the budget constraint, and then we also learned the budget constraint and the indifferent curves crossed with each other. Not crossed, I would say the budget constraint is the tangent of the indifferent curve, then we can have the consumer equilibrium, okay? And then we also studies about the production possibility frontiers theory. I would say by this wide, we learned what is the natures or the characteristic of the production possibility frontiers. And after that, we also learned the producer equilibrium in the autarkies. In the autarkies, we need to say that there is no international trade happens. So the relative price, or you can call this one as the budget constraints, as the tangent of the production possibility frontiers. That is the point where the producer will produce, okay, will allocate their resources in order to produce two particular goods, namely in this case, gold white and gold eggs, okay? And that is the general equilibrium in Turkey. General equilibrium here, we consider both sides. One is the consumption side and another one is the producer side. So you just place these together and then we can have the general equilibrium in Turkey, okay? So YE is the point where the country allocates their resources in order to produce two goods, and also the point where the consumer will choose to consume within these two particular goods also, okay? And this is the trade standard models. In order to do the trade between one nation to another nation, the trade need to look at the comparative advantage. In this sense, if there is the standard models, they need to look at what the slope of their budget constraint, okay? If you look at this ones, meaning to say that the nation wants will produce more X times more Y. Sorry, a nation one will produce more X than Y, okay? Because nation one is realized that they are having the comparative advantage in their products. But this one they produce a lot of white, they produce less X, okay? Yes, and then they will change their production functions. Sorry, the production function, they will change their allocation of resources in terms of producing these two goods. So at the end of the day, they will start to change this. This one's the movement of the production and trade. We move production from point A to point B in both countries. That's at the beginning, point A is the general equilibrium in autarky. The same thing, point A in nation 2 here is the general equilibrium in autarky, also the same. And then if they realize from one to another production's advantage, I would say, or they know about the production characteristic between these two goods, so between these two nations, and then they may reallocate their resources again in order to produce within these two goods, okay? That's why you can see with this point. That's why you can see here, see that. So that is the case that we can learn from this trade in the standard models. At the end of the day, when when the both nations decide to change their production function, so when the two nations decide to reallocate to produce the good X and good Y, they will realize the better consumption, okay? See that? So this one at point C here. At point C here, you can see that the nation 1 export of white are merged by nation 2 import of white. At the same time, the nation 2, you can see export of X are merged by the nations 1 export, 1 import of X. See that? So these are the consumptions and the consumption that the people in nation 1 and nation 2 could realize when they are opening to when they open to trade, okay? That's the term of trade. So that is the relative price of X and Y determine the term of trade in a true country, true commodity setting, okay? The term of trade is the ratio of the index price of a nation exports to the index price of its import. See that? So for nation one, in the previous example, this one is the relative price. What is the term of trade? Nation two also the same. That is the relative price P over, the price of X over the price of Y. That's also the term of trade. Then an improvement in the country term of trade are typically are typically used as beneficial. See that? As beneficial. So an improvements in the term of trade indicate that fewer export goods will need to be provided to purchase the same numbers of imported goods. Okay, so that is the case that we can observe. So I think quite brief enough for you. Do you have any question? Please let me know. Or if you have any concerns, please let me know. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. We hear, sir.
Okay, if you don't have any questions, maybe I can move to the next modules. Okay, here that is the module number 9. After we finish with the comparative, so the meaning of the absolute advantage, we understand the comparative advantage by using the Ricardo model to illustrate the trade patterns or trade term of trade for you. And then we move to the standard model, which also illustrates you with the term of trade by using the production possibility frontiers and the indifferent curve together, and then they do the trades. Okay, so now we move to the Hector's and early model. These two guys also introduced the walls with the trade theory. Okay, and then we may move to this. So the Hector's and Owen series is based on two subsidiary theorems. I think this one we discussed last time. We have Hector's and Owen's theorems, okay? And we also have the factors by equalization theorems, okay? So, I mean, that the Hector's and Owen's series is formed by these two subsidiary theorems, okay? So the actual theorem has been stated that a nation will export the commodities who require the intensive use of the nation's relative abundance, and therefore shift factors and import the commodities whose productions require the intensive use of the nation's relatively scarce factors. Okay. So what does this statement means to you? It's trying to, what does this theorem's action or theorem trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you that a nation needs to look at to your scarce resources, okay? And if we discuss about resources, there are three types of resources that we have learned so far. The first one is the land, the second one is capital, and the third one is the labor. And normally the capital and the land can be clustered together, so that is for capital only. That's why there are two major scale resources. The first one is capital. The second one we can call is labor. Okay. The nation will export the commodity whose production require the intensive use of the nation's relatively abundant factors, and imports the commodity whose production requires the intensive use of the nation's relatively scarce. For example, in Cambodia, if you look at to the capital resources in Cambodia, if you compare to Thailand, compared to US, compared to European nations, the capitals that Cambodia possesses or have it is quite low compared to the other country. Okay, that's why the other country we produced the capital intensive products. But if you look at for the cost of labor in Cambodia, the cost of labor cheap compared to the neighboring country and also of course the world, like the developed nations. So Cambodia understand that that's why you have seen Cambodia export a lot of the product or commodities that requires the intensive use of labor, okay, because we have a lot of labor. Similar thing to China and India, they also produce a lot of capital, sorry, labor-intensive products and then export it to the rest of the world, okay. And then I think if you look at very carefully in the first or second module, we discussed about the trade the export and import of the Cambodia export and import partners last time. If you remember very well, we discussed those. And then we have Europeans such as Germany, UK, French, Netherlands, Italy, and we also have the US, and we also have the Asia like Japan, South Korea, and also China. So those are the countries that are the trading part in terms of the labor-intensive labor-intensive products such as the agricultural commodities, as the textiles. So those products require a lot of labor in order to produce the output. See that? That's why the Cambodian economy or Cambodian policymaker allocate a lot of resources in terms of producing those kind of products and then export it. That is the first theorem in terms of HOs. Okay, sorry. That is the HO theorems, which is considered as one of the subsidiary theorem of the HO theory, HNO theory. And in other words, the first statement that I talked to you earlier, you can also say in very simple word by saying that relative factors abandon trade comparative advantage and the pattern of trade. Okay, so they need to look into the factors abandoned. Okay, and the second theorem that actually is different from David Ricardo and the standard model is that there is the factors per equalization theorems, meaning to say that the international trade will bring about equalization in relative and absolute terms to homogeneous factors across nations. So I mean like I mean the factor per equalizers, I think they were simple. This one we discussed with the how can you see this? Yeah, the factor mobilities, the three factors mobilities, meaning to say that we can move from capitals to labor, labor to capital. That is based on the marginal rate of substitution that you have learned so far by using the indifferent curve also. Sorry, by using the yeah, different curve and the water constraint. That is the meaning, okay? So in other words, you can say that the waste and other factor return will be the same after the specialization in trade has occurred. For example, if the country or the trade give incentive for the agricultural products, people might go to that sector in order to have a higher returns. And the same thing for the capital. Okay, they're gonna go there and then they're gonna get higher returns. So that is the second theorem. The first theorem, we need to base on the factors abundance, and then if the nation will like that, the nation will export the good or the product that is the input intensive for them. And for the second theorem is that the factors of productions are, mobile, meaning to say that it can move from one to another country. Oh, sorry, moving from one nation to another nations. Okay. And so we just demonstrate this together. So suppose there are two countries with the identical technology and societal preferences, meaning to say that we have the same technology. We have the same technology, identical means the same, okay? Two countries have the same technology and also have the same societal preferences. And then the nation differ in that one is relatively labor abundance, while the other is relatively capital abundance. And then the factors abundant is determined by the ratio of capital to labor available in the country. Okay, you just take the ratio of these two input, okay, or two factors. And the country with the greatest capital over L ratio is defined as the big capital abundance. In the first theory, we already discussed that the country will export the commodities whose production requires the intensive factors. So how can we understand the intensive factors in one particular product? So in order to understand that, you need to calculate the capitals to labor, okay, the ratio of capital to labor, which is denoted by K over L ratio, okay. So if you
Okay.
realize that country, any question, David?
How to calculate that, teacher?
Okay. So when you realize that when you have the greater scale ratio compared to another country, meaning to say that you have a capital intensive, sorry, capital abundance, meaning you have a lot of capital over to your level. Furthermore, you also can look at your commodity produce difference different with the factor intensities. So the factor intensity determined by the ratio of capitals to labor that is required for the production of the commodities. Okay, factor intensity is determined by the ratio of capital to labor. Okay, request for the production of the commodities, and the commodities requiring the greater scale over a ratio per unit of production is defined as being capital intensive. See that? So under these assumptions, the production possibility from years indicated on the next slide, we saw the relative productive potential of the trading nations. If the nation one is labor abundance and nation two is the capital abundance, then commodity Y is labor intensive and commodity is capital intensive, then we can have this graph, okay? Demonstrating the Hatcher's HNO theorem, that is nation 1 and nation 2 here, X and Y, okay? This one you know already, here the nation 1 produce a lot of Y, this one, the nation X produce a lot of X. See that? And for is or representation, the two production possibilities for TS may be overlaid in one diagram. They just overlaid, and under the assumptions of identical societal references, this year the percentage on different curves with the indifferent, sorry, with the indicated straight. This one, see that? Yeah. Meaning to say that nation one gonna have the general equilibrium at this point, where nation two gonna have the general equilibrium at this point, Turkey, and then this one is the indifferent curve for this function together. See that? So the combination of the production possibility frontiers and indifferent establishes a higher opportunity course for nation one in the production X here. See that? And using the logics of the standard model of the trades, they show that nation one will specialize in the production and export Y. Okay. Using the logics of the standard model of trade, this that nation one will specialize in productions of and export of Y. Okay. Well, you can look at this too. This one is nation one, nation two. You can have a look at this again for around 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, I'll get back 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, let me have some water first. Okay, so just get back 5 to net, so refer to all the materials in the actual environments. Okay, hello.
Teacher, could you repeat that
Hello.
again?
Can you come again, please?
What do you want us to do? Could you repeat that again?
Okay. Am I too fast? Okay. Okay. I don't want you to do anything. So just get through the material module 9 again. I pause 5 minutes. I feel a little bit rushed in this sense. So if you have any question, you just get back to me within 5 minutes, okay? Because within 15 minutes, I have been through more than 10 slides already, so I feel a bit fast for you all, okay? So you may refer back to the material and around 5 minutes to 10 minutes, and then I will, if you have any further concern or clarification you need, just let me know, okay?
Sir,
Hello?
in this graph, what does P stand for, sir?
Which one?
Here, sir.
Mhm.
A combination to sir, P, letter P,
P price,
and A,
okay.
sir, or A, sir.
PA, just this is the price, also the price. This is the code A for nation one. This is the how can I say this one? This one is the equilibrium law. That is the general equilibrium.
Oh, okay.
Yes, general equilibrium. But this one A prims, that is for the nation two. This A that is for the nation one. Okay, they just illustrate by this way. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good then. So just try to get back since the beginning until slide number 9, and then we can have a clarification if you need. Okay, yep. Okay, take your time, another 5 minutes. Hello.
Yeah, sure.
Any concerns so far?
A bit concerned, sir, because I don't really understand like the point what they trying to do here, sir. They don't have narrative, sir. Just look at the graph and
Yes. We have the narrative in our textbook, learn. Hello.
oh
Ram.
oh textbook, sir. Okay, okay.
Yes.
I really
Yes.
I don't know, sir. I thought this one from another textbook,
It's
sir.
okay. It's okay. If you get through the textbook, you will see the descriptions of these models too. Okay. Let me share you a little bit. Mm. Okay, let's see this one. Mm, mm, mm. Here we go. You see this? Done.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what we call resources constraint, meaning actions and only they depend on the resources abundance. Okay, what we have learned so far, there are two main things you need to look at. The first one is that you need to look at which resources that a country has abundance. For example, whether labor or capital. And the second thing, you need to understand the type of both good X and good Y. Whether good X and good Y, they are having the capital intensive good or labor intensive good. Okay, so these are the things that you have to look at. Okay, that's why they call these just. And if you go down, you also can see here the brand the production. They just give you some of the mathematical representations. You can look at this. And this was the same thing as you can learn so far. That is the labor constraints, capital constraint, and then they just want to get there. And then they can draw their production possibility from here. See that? Factor substitute, I think you learned already with the marginal rate of substitution. Okay. So when you're choosing to make of input, that is the ISO value, or you can call this one as the budget constraint, okay, or ISO course if you consider it as a course. Because the budget constraint, that is the people money, the limitation of money that people can use that. And similar things to the production theory, that is the ISO course learn, meaning to say that, or you can call ISO value learn, that is the learn that you can use your resources to produce to particular good. Okay, the same concept. So this one is the indifferent curve, okay, yeah, and then you just put it together like this. Input choices, I think quite similar as we have seen so far. This one they just put the thing together, okay. Relative price, you see that, because there are two theorems. The first one that is called the factor price equalizations, and this one is that is the actual theorems, okay, which mainly described about the factors abundance. Okay, they just put it together, and then they can have it like this. Okay, And then after that, we can look at the trade, relative price, and the pattern of trade. This one, see that? Then I think you will see it a little bit further. This one is a little bit complicated because they also think in terms of skill and unskilled person. Okay, yep. But we don't go too further like this. At least you need to understand the foundation first. Here, that's factor by equalization, like I discussed to you. It comes to the equalize. And then this one is just the empirical evidence on actions and all links. Here you can look at this. This one is the US, the factor content of US export and import for 1962. And this one is test on global dollar, and this one the case of missing trades, and this one is the Bangladesh. Sorry, the trade. Sorry, yes. Factor content of trades. It's just empirical study produced to learn further implications of tested. Okay, this one. So I think this one was so illustrate for you some already. You look at the steering wheel. So moving back to our material here, it's quite simple. This one, nation one, that is the how can I say this? That is the general equilibrium of nation one. This one is the general equilibrium of nation two. Okay, and then what they are doing, they will shift. See that they will shift the productions to this one. Equalize the tensions. See that. And they will move from point A to point B. They will move to this point, and then when they move to this point, they can have this point. Okay, in terms of consumptions. This one they move the production from A here to B here. Okay, this one from A primes to B from here, and then they increase their consumptions. Actually, they just reallocate their resources. If you look at it very well, at the beginning or in autarky, nation 2 produced at point A primes, and nation 1 produced at point A. And then when they reallocate their production resources, the nation 2 will produce at point B primes, and nation 1 will produce at point B. Okay, and then both of them will enjoy the higher consumption at this point E. So it moved from this, okay? If you look at this two graphs together, this one it moves from E1 to E2. That is the indifferent curve, which represents the utilities of consumer. Okay, the highest shifted to the right. That is the highest utility that the consumer could receive. So if that is the factors prior equalization, like discussed earlier. In the actual model of trade, the pattern of trade is driven by relative factors abundant, right? We have done that. So the labor abundant country export goods that are labor intensive in their productions. In capital abundant country export goods that are capital intensive in their production. See that? Simple. So what? So the exported commodity experience an increase in their price relative to the autarkic situations, and slope Stopper-Samuelson theorem, that is another theorem, okay, demonstrate that an increase in relative price of a commodity raises the returns of the factor used intensively in a production. And at the same time, the returns of the relative scale factor will fall. See that? So the price is increased, relative price increased, the people moving to that industry, okay? It's very simple to understand by that why. That's why it's become equalized. There's the labor abundant country, we see an increase in wage, but fall in the return to capital. While capital abundant country will experience the opposite pattern of change. Okay. And then we come to another story, that is trades and the distributions of income. Meaning to say that they are putting together with the trade and the distribution of income. International trade can affect the distributions of income even in the long run. Owner of a country, abundant factors, gains from trade, right? Yes. For example, if I have a lot of if I have a lot of labor in my country, I may gain from trade in the yeah, because the trade will be focusing on that products. But the owner of a country's scar factor will lose. Yep, because the government will promote the government policy will promote the trade in some of the abundant factors. And then what happened? The factors of the production that are used intensively by the import competing industry are hurt by the opening of trade, regardless of the industry in which they are employed. And then if you compare with the rest of the world, the United States is abundantly indoor with higher skilled labor, while low skilled labor is correspondingly scarce. So international trade has the potential to make a low skilled worker in the United States worse off, not just temporarily, but on a sustained basis too. So change in income distribution occur with every economic change, not only international trades. Change in technology affect income distributions. Economy puts more the blame on technological change and resulting premiums paid on education as the major cause of increased income inequality in the US. Okay. So that is the cause of the inequality too. I believe that might be happens because the country will put more effort on the abundant factors sector. Okay, yeah. So it would be better to compensate the loser from the trades or any economic change by a prohibited trades. So the economy as a whole does not benefit from trade. Yeah. And also, there's a political bias in trade politics here, meaning to say that potential losers from trade are better politically organized than the winner from trade. The losers are usually concentrated among a few, but gains are usually dispersed amongst many. In the US, each of Americans pay about $8 a year to restrict import of sugar, and the total cost of this policy is about $2 billion per year. So the benefit of this program total about $1 billion, but this amount goes relatively few sugar producer. That is the impact of the trade by the heterogeneous in concept, and then it's become the problem of income distributions. And this one is just the example for you. That is the north-south trade. North-south trade meaning to say that the trade from north to south, okay, and the income inequalities. So over the last 40 years, the country like South Korea, Mexico, and China, which are in the which are in the different continents, have exported to the U.S. goods intensive in unskilled labor, right? Like clothing, shoe, toys, assembled goods. And at the same time, the income inequality has increased in the U.S. as the wages of unskilled workers have grown slowly compared to those of skilled workers. See that? Absolutely true. And then how can we access with the skill and unskilled basis? Sorry, how can we access or have or support the unskilled? So this is the skill bar technological change and income inequalities. Trade likely has been an indirect contributor to increased in wage inequalities by accelerating the process of technological change. And then firms that begins to export may upgrade to more skill-intensive production technologies. Trade liberalizations can then generate widespread technological change by including a large proportion of firms to make such technology upgrade choices. Okay. So this only just the technological change, okay? Yep. I cannot deny with this too because once when the firms are begin to export, they need to upgrade the more skill, okay? And then they have learned about new technologies. And then the trade liberalizations can then generate a vast bit of technological change by including a large proportion of firms to make such technology upgraded choices. Okay. So I think that should be all for module number 9. Yeah. Any questions? Or you may spend a little bit more time to look at the slide again. If you have any question, just let me know, okay? Give me a minute, I charge my computer. Let me check. Someone commented. So is it a good or bad thing for a country to experience a rapid technological change? We need to define the terms. Sorry, we need to define the term technological change first. I forgot your name. Lee here, because the technological change here is very broad, okay, in terms of some sectors. But if that is an overall technological change, that's good for the country to move forward, okay. I think you already learned with the economic growth last time, and then we know that one of the source of the economic growth is technological change, right? So the technological change would bring the country to grow, that we cannot deny it that. However, there are still also some drawbacks in terms of the adaptation or technological change, because some of the group of people who cannot move along with the technological change gonna be suffered. Okay. But in overall, that's good for the country, okay? Because we can realize the growth. Yep.
Thank you, Chair. So
Yep.
could you explain one more about what you mean by the increase in wage inequality?
Increase in a wage inequality, we measure the wage in different sector, okay? We wage different sector differently. For example, if you are concentrating on one sector, which is the potential for trades, the wage auto sector might be increased, right? Yeah, because there is a lot of demand from that sector, right? If there is the higher demand, the wage also gonna be getting higher, right? The same, right? If that is just focusing only on that sector while the others cannot distribute it equally, that is because of the wage inequalities. Does it make sense?
Yeah, teacher, thank you.
Yep. I think if you look at to the case in US, it's also the same. If you look at to the case in US, very very obvious that the wage inequality is very high, because if you are the skilled labor, you are using the your skill, you pay very high compared to the unskilled labor. Meaning to say that the skilled labor, they are using the capitals in order to produce it, while the unskilled labor, they're just using the how can I say this? That is the energy, the physical energy in order to produce the products, the goods and services. At the same time, you also look at to the minimum wage that government trying to raise. That is also one of the mechanism in order to lower the wage inequality. Okay, raising the minimum wage. Any other concerns with this? No, no more concerns.
I have no concern, Chair.
Okay. So can we just have a small break, maybe a 10-minute break, and then we can resume our class if you don't have any concern, and then we can move to another module, okay?
Yeah, teacher, yes.
Okay, so just please have a 10-minute break, and then we will resume our class after 10 minutes, okay? Yep, for another module. Okay, have a good rest, and see you in 10 minutes.
Yes, like
Okay, see you in 10 minutes.